people really don't like accountability. And I've always known this, but this week it dawned on me even more because something came up and I was like, what is this? What is happening right here? So I wanted to dig deeper, but what it's tied to, and it is the ego. It is the ego. There's really no direction here except what I discovered this week and what I was processing and downloading from this interaction. So I'll give you guys a little background. And if you're here, you're probably going through a lot of shifts and realizations, and you're kind of seeing interactions with people you've known for a very long time, just kind of like disassociating or not really relating anymore. This situation came up, and the way it was presented to me or brought to my attention, I was just like, oh, this person is leading a situation that happened like so. And I was like, oh, I'm not even gonna respond because I'm already knowing how they presented the situation to me, where they're at, and it's not gonna get anywhere. And I had a bird's eye view. So I'm looking at the situation like, okay, if I do respond to them and I do have this conversation with them, where is it gonna go? And ultimately, it wouldn't go anywhere, and it would be for me to soothe them and to kind of give them closure or comfort rather. So I was just like, I'm not even gonna respond, but it prompted me to just really analyze the situation. I was just like, oh, wow. People do not like to take accountability, and taking accountability threatens one's ego. And then I was digging deeper because I was like, okay, well, obviously the ego is in place for a reason, just as much as intuition is. And I know that we paint the ego to be bad, but we're actually supposed to integrate it with our intuition. It's supposed to be a tool to guide us, because the ego helps us show up in the world uniquely, and we're able to express ourselves through our ego, and understanding that the ego is part of the human experience. But I was like, obviously the way this person is presenting the situation to me means like they're not in a space to take accountability and actually have a conversation that can lead us forward. We're just gonna be going around in loops. And being in the current space that I'm in right now, I don't really care for relations that aren't trying to move forward. In fact, I love a disagreement. Like, I love a disagreement. I love when we can't see eye to eye. I love working things out. Like, let's figure it out. Let's get to the bottom of it so we can move forward. Because actually taking accountability is where your power lies. Owning up to it is where you can transform, evolve, and grow. I will never shy away from a tough conversation. And I've been like that my whole life. And I think part of the reason why I'm able to handle situations head on is because I've been through counseling and therapy from when I was 5 to 17 or 18 until I fully aged out of foster care. It was kind of like mandatory, but I've always been very comfortable with talking about my feelings, talking about tough things. And I notice with a lot of people and family, friends, there can be elephants in the room and everyone just wants to sweep it under the rug. And I literally cannot stand that. I can't stand it. And my whole life I never could stand it, but now, even more so, because I'm at the stage that I'm at, I don't even really care to have people around me that aren't willing to have tough conversations. I don't want people that can't tell me when I do something wrong, and vice versa, because ultimately it just leads to stagnation, and we're going around in loops, and we are here to evolve and to grow. But I was really wondering why people struggle so bad to take accountability, and it ties into the ego because it threatens their identity and admitting their faults and their self-worth. And I was just like, this is so interesting, because from an awakened state or a more intuitive state, accepting your faults and your flaws and admitting that you're wrong can allow you to grow. It can allow these relationships to grow. The ego isn't inherently bad. It serves a purpose. And I think even people who aren't fully awakened, they lead with their ego rather their intuition, or integrating both. A healthy ego can drive us forward, ultimately living up to our fullest potential. And also the ego allows us to experience the world as an individual, right? But intuition and spiritually, we know we are one. People that identify as being always right or a good person, or whatever they have attached themselves to in this 3D world or just this physical world, once something threatens that, it shakes their whole reality. But if people don't integrate their intuition and their soul with the ego is just acting as a filter. It's just an illusion, right? They're not fully awakened, or they're not fully conscious or aware of their own behaviors or patterns, because it is acting like a filter. They can't see anything else outside of their identity. But I was actually sad about the situation that was happening, because I was just like, damn, if this person can't even admit their own faults or take accountability, because I'm always willing to take accountability, like it's two to tango. So if only one person is willing to actively participate, it's not equally yoked. But if you can't see what you did that led us to this very moment and situation right here, then it's all pointless. Once a situation, a tough conversation presents itself or needs to be had, I know how that conversation should go for us to move forward, right? Like, I know what you need. I can take accountability. I'm actually ready. Like, give it to me. What can I do to be better, right? If I hurt you, if I offended you, let me know so I can move forward. If you don't tell me, I can't grow. I can't move on from it. So in my friendships, I'm very adamant about just like taking accountability. If I do something, say something, and vice versa, right? And I know what that other person needs to hear as well. Like, I'm more than willing to give you what you need, but also knowing that I can give this person what they need, but they're not in a place to take accountability, or they don't have the self-awareness, or they choose not to, right? Because the ego's job is to protect yourself from being vulnerable, which leads to deflecting and blaming. It refuses to take any accountability because it feels like, if I take accountability and I can shift the blame onto you, then I still can hold my power. But it's an illusion. It's not real. It's not real power, because you're stuck in a freaking loop. And then I'm like, wow, the ego or these illusions really have people up. And my mind was boggled, because I'm like, wow, something that's not even that serious. The situation's not even serious. I do not care. I do not care. But the situation is, we cannot move forward. We have this conversation, I already know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like, oh, well, blah, 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 deflect, 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 blame. Like, I can already see that before it's happening because of the way they presented the situation. I'm like, but how did we get here? Because one, I never act anyway. I'm very patient, I'm very lenient, I'm very, very forgiving. Very, very forgiving, to where I'm now kind of like, we need to nip it in the bud sooner so we don't end up in these situations. But I'm like, how did we get here? So the way they presented the situation, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'm already calculating and processing. I'm like, yeah, they just bypassed all this stuff and just went to straight dumping on me. I'm like, wow, this relationship ends right here. We can't move forward, which kind of hurt me, because I'm just like, dang. And not just with this situation, this happened multiple times, but I'm in a place right now, I've been in like a period of isolation too, where I can process everything and see things much clearer than I've ever seen it before, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're not gonna be able to move forward because a situation presented itself, this is how you handled it. I can already tell that you're not in a space to kind of address this the way it needs to be addressed, right? And the illusion of it all is what kills me, because I'm like, some people are living with their ego and the filter it has and the illusions of like, okay, this is powerful to me. This is my power. This is where my power lies. Like, I'm always right. I'm never wrong. Actually, I have no room to grow. Nobody can tell me anything. And I'm like, that's the illusion. Like, people hold on to it so tightly because it's their identity. But I'm like, you're losing out on friendships, relationships, memories. I'm like, oh, this hurts me. And also I understand, like, not everybody can come with you with where you're going. Understanding that your power actually lies in you taking accountability. It actually lies in you being able to admit your faults so that you can grow and evolve and be better. But if you never take accountability, if you can never be wrong, if you can never be taught, you're just stuck in the same loop over and over and over and over. And also, admitting your faults or admitting or taking accountability, it's uncomfortable. And the ego freaking hates that. So I'm like, okay, well, the ego is good. Like, if it's, you know, mastered in a healthy way, it can be so beneficial to us, right? But when it's being channeled in a negative way, there's fears, doubts, illusions, all of these things. And instead of surrendering so you can actually have meaningful, deep connections, not only with yourself, but with other people, you just stay in these toxic cycles. And I'm like, dang, it hurts me. But also it's like, you can't change somebody that doesn't want to be changed. You know, I just found it so fascinating as why people just hate the truth. They hate the truth. They don't want to surrender to the truth, where ultimately that's where the power lies. And maybe that's just part of the human experience, right? Like everyone's on their own journey. Wanting relationships with certain people too. It's like, dang, like we can grow, we can be better. Like, let's just have this conversation and move forward from it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't gotta be stuck on who's right and who's wrong. Like, we can both come to a middle ground, right? And true evolution and true power comes from owning your mistakes, owning your faults, being teachable, being able to own your mistakes and learn. And maybe that can tie into why people get stuck too, because you're afraid of failure, why people don't want to do certain things, not even just having tough conversations, but just showing up in their life, is because God forbid they're wrong. Like, God forbid they have the humility to not know. The ego fears and hates accountability, but the soul loves it, thrives off of it. Now we're talking. You know, like now we're really growing and transforming. It is something that you have to come to terms with once you realize it, that, you know, people can only meet you as deeply as they met themselves. You can't change people. You really have to meet people where they're at. But still, it's like, and people leading with their ego are just seeing the world from a distorted lens. You know, it's like prioritizing self-preservation, control, and in time, they will get to it when they get to it. But I do think that the world that we're in, it is prioritizing truth over the lies. It is prioritizing soul and intuition, then integrating the ego. We are being asked to rise and to raise our vibrations and also just come more into alignment with what our souls know to be true, right? So we can all live out our fullest potential and have meaningful, deep connection. I don't know, I felt like rambling and talking about it because I was just like, damn, this is like an epidemic. Like, people just refuse, like they're struggling, they're fighting back and forth, and it's just like, let it go so we can move on. Let it go. And it's funny because I said I've had this happen to me a few times, but I never processed it as I processed it now, because I'm like, what the heck? Why can't they just, but admitting to it, whatever it is the problem, because it crumbles and crushes everything they've known it to be, they've known themselves to be, or their world to be. I don't know what's on the other side of that. Like, who am I if I do admit that I'm wrong? Who am I if I did make a mistake? Oh my goodness, I never make mistakes. And it's just interesting. It's all interesting. I also just think surrendering will just help you with judging yourself less, judging other people less, just being open more. I don't know, but yeah, let me know your thoughts to surrendering, to being in alignment with our soul and our intuition, and being teachable and being open to new opportunities, to growth, and having tough conversations. We can no longer go on like this. Like, the elephants are in the room. Let's just like handle it and move on so we can actually move forward and grow, you know? But yeah, just rambling, just some thoughts. But I don't even think I gave an introduction. I just went straight on in because I was like, this is an epidemic. People do not want to take accountability. People are just running away from the truth, y'all. Like, come on. But yeah, my name is Havila. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're already subscribed, I hope everyone's doing amazing. And as far as the mentorship goes, I'm on it, I'm working on it. I'm still playing with ideas. I think I'm gonna do like a hotline, Havila's hotline, hot streak hotline. That's my TikTok name, hot streak, coming in hot. I think I'm gonna do a hotline where I can offer single calls, packages. It's gonna be very unconventional because it is me, but I'm good for some motivation and energy boost. So yeah, I'm playing with the idea, but for now I did add a link in my bio or my About Me page, and it's Ask FM. And if you want to ask any questions, if you need any advice, I think it's $20 per question, but it is confidential, and I will give you a deep, thought out response, as I always do. I'm very present and intentional when I am responding. So If you have any questions or you need any guidance, for now, that's what's available. I think you can ask a question and then we can respond back and forth up to 3 times. So I wanted to offer that now. So if you have any questions, you need any guidance, it is confidential. The link is in my bio. But yeah, stay tuned for the mentorship program. I'm also still praying to God about it and just figuring out the best way to approach it and do it, because I do want to offer some services. Like, I do have a lot of energy to give, and I'm a natural motivator and energizer. And I got a lot of wisdom. I've been through a lot of things. So, you know, I want to be able to offer my expertise in a way that's valuable to you guys, but also in alignment with me and not where I'm spread too thin. And I will keep you guys updated. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Add your thoughts, add your 2 cents, where you guys are at with your relationships. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.